Today we are going to cover Azure well architected frameworks. As a Azure solution architect, we design cloud infrastructures. We design the cloud infrastructures on consultation with client. We schedule a meeting, connect with the clients, get their inputs, get their requirement. Once all the details requirements collected, then we will design the cloud infrastructures. For designing, we need a standard, we need a guiding document. Azure Well Architecture Framework. It is a Microsoft set of guiding principle and best practices for designing, building, operating cloud workloads on Azure. So, as a Azure solution architect, we can use this WAF, Azure Well Architected Framework to create solutions that are secured, highly performing, cost efficient, reliable and sustainable cloud solution we can design. So we must aware of this. We must have some good knowledge in Azure Well Architecture Framework. This Azure Well Architecture Framework developed by Microsoft to help solution architect build and deliver high quality, high performing, cost efficient solution on the Azure cloud platform. If you look at the structure of Azure WAF, it is structured around five core pillars. These five core pillars address the key area of architectural design. So this Azure Well Architecture Framework, Azure WAF, built around five pillars. They are reliability, security, performance efficiency, cost optimization, and operational excellence. So when we are designing the Azure cloud infrastructure, we are designing the cloud solution, we need to refer these five pillars. Let us look into the first one, reliability. So we have to ensure that application can recover from failures and continue to function if there is any outage. When we are designing the Azure cloud solution, Azure cloud infrastructures, we should make sure application hosted in the Azure cloud should recover from the failures and continue to function even there is a outage. So this reliability define the ability of the system to recover from failures and continue to function. If you look at the key principle in reliability, the first is designing for high availability and redundancy across component to eliminate single point of failures. So you have to make sure the application hosted in the cloud there is no single point of failure. So we have to design for high availability. The second principle, implementing disaster recovery plan to recover from a major outage. For example, if any region in US, if it is a East US2 or West US2, any region is down, if there any major outage is there, we need to implement the disaster recovery plan. We need to implement the disaster recovery. The third key principle is testing resilience and recovery process. So first we have to design the high availability, implement the disaster recovery, then we have to test it of the whether it is working fine or not. So the key practices are design for resiliency, like go for zone redundancy or regional pass. Implement the fault isolation. Use the auto scaling. Perform chaos engineering and regular testing. Implement backup and disaster recovery strategies. So if we implement this kind of non-functional requirement, if we implement design resiliency, fault isolation, and we have to use the auto scaling option, and implementing backup and disaster recovery will improve the efficiency of our cloud apps. It will improve the efficiency of our cloud infrastructures. So whenever we design the Azure solution, Azure cloud solution, we need to make sure these are the key principle, these are the reliability key principle should be taken into consideration. The second pillar is security. As a Azure solution architect, we have to design the Azure solution that will which has a security, which has a protection for apps, data, and the infrastructures. So the security pillar focus on protecting the application and data from the threats. If you look at the key principle in security, we need to implement the defense and depth strategy, that is called layered security. The second principle, securing the data at rest and in transit. The third one is managing identity and access control. Like we have to implement the least access privileges, least privilege access, and then protecting the network perimeter. So we need to implement the layered security, defense and depth, secure the data while it's transit or in rest, implement the IAM, identity and access management, with the least privilege access, and then protect the network perimeter. If you look at the key practice for security, we can implement identity and access management, IAM, with Azure ID or Entra ID. We need to implement the zero trust also. So we have to implement the network security by using network security group and firewalls, Azure firewalls. And we have to protect the data with the encryption at the rest and transit. And we have to implement the threat detection with Microsoft Defender for Cloud. And then we have to implement the secure DevOps, shift left and code scanning. So these are all the key practices in security we need to implement in the Azure cloud. The third pillar is performance efficiency. So we have to make sure all the workloads run efficiently under different conditions. This performance efficiency pillar covers the operation process that keep an application running reliably in production. If you look at the performance efficiency key principles, the first one is designing for DevOps and continuous integration, continuous delivery. So we have to improve the process. We have to automate the process. We have to implement the DevOps CI/CD pipeline. To deploy the resource in Azure cloud, we can use the automation. We can use this DevOps CI/CD pipeline for automation for deployment, configuration, and management. For the management, we can use infrastructure as a code, IaaS, Terraform, ARM templates, and we have to implement the robust monitoring and observability, loggings, metrics, tracing to gain insight and troubleshoot the issue. So, as a solution architect, as a Azure solution architect, to improve the performance, we need to go for automation tool for deploying resources. So we can go for DevOps CI/CD pipeline, and we can use infrastructure as a code IAC, that is Terraform, ARM template or biceps for deploying configuration and management. If you look at the performance efficiency, the key practices: choose the right compute storage and network services. Use the auto scaling, caching and CDNs. Optimize data access pattern. The fourth is use performance monitoring like Azure Monitor and App Insight. So, as a solution architect, we should consider all these aspects, all these core pillars while designing the Azure cloud solution. So, we have to check the security pillar, performance pillar, and then reliability pillars. The first is cost optimization. Every budget, every project has a budget limit. As you know, we can't spending without any restriction. There is always a budget for each and every cloud project. So we have to ensure that get maximum business value by minimizing the spending. So we have to design the Azure cloud infrastructures which will provide a maximum business value and with the minimum spending. So this cost optimization is about managing cost to maximize the value achieved from your cloud. If you look at the key principle for cost optimization, choose the most appropriate and cost effective services, and we have to monitor the spending and usage to identify the waste. That is one of the key principle. As part of the cost optimization, we have to monitor all the Azure subscription. We have to monitor all the resources running in the Azure subscription. Every month we have to generate the report, identify the unused resources, clean up the resources. So we can identify the waste and remove it. And also the key principle is right sizing the resources. Don't deploy high end VMs or very low end VMs. Always deploy the right sizing resources, and then utilizing the reservation and Azure hybrid benefit wherever applicable. Go for reserved instance, go for Azure hybrid benefit wherever it is applicable. If you look at the key practices, use the right pricing option. Either we can go for reserved instance or Spot VMs. Monitor the cost anomalies and budget. You have to configure the budget alert. So when you have to set the budget and configure the alert, so whenever there is a the cost limit reaches or goes beyond the budget level, it will trigger the alert. Optimize the resource utilization. So you have to, as a solution, as a solution architect, you have to connect with the delivery manager. You have to connect with the project manager and and optimize the resource utilization. You can leverage Asus advisor for such cost recommendation. The fifth pillar is operational excellency. This one focus on operation process to deliver business value and maintain the system health. This operational excellency pillar covers the operation process that keep an application running reliably in production. So we have to design for DevOps and continuous integration and continuous delivery. Using automation for deployment configuration and management. Implementing monitoring and observability. Here the key practices are implement DevOps CI/CD pipeline, use the infrastructure as a code tools like Bicep, ARM, Terraform, enable monitoring, logging and alerting, and then incident management and root cause analysis. So we should choose the tool that support the Azure well architected framework. Azure provide built-in assessment and tools like Azure Advisor. This Azure Advisor provides a recommendation across cost, security, performance, and reliability. And then Azure WAF review. It is an assessment tool. The third one is Azure Monitor. It is a monitoring tool. The fourth is Defend Our Cloud MDC. That is a security and posture management. So we have to use this tool to design the cloud solutions effectively. So why do we need Azure well architected framework? If you implement Azure well architected framework, it will help to better resilience and uptime. It will improve the uptime of the cloud resources and it will lower the operating and cloud cost. If you follow the five core pillars in Azure WAF, Azure well architected framework, using the five core principles: resilience, security, performance, cost optimization. If you follow if you use these five core pillars as a guiding principle and design a cloud solution, that will help us to provide a resilience and uptime. It will lower the operating and cloud cost. It will provide a strong security posture. So we can increase the performance, improve manageability and DevOps. So it will help us to create a sustainable infrastructure. So we have to, as a Azure solution architect, we have to review our cloud architecture against these five principles so we can make a better decision and trade off to build a solid technical foundation for your workload that align with your business goals. So we have to design a cloud solution and review it with well architected framework, five pillars that will help us to design a efficient and consistent cloud workloads. If you look at the primary use case for Azure WAF, this Azure well architected framework is primarily used as a diagnostic and optimization tool to evaluate and improve cloud workloads and ensuring they align with the best practice across the five pillars. So we can use this Azure WAF well architected framework as a diagnostic and optimization tool. It provides a structured methodology for making explicit and data driven trade offs between business goals and technical decisions. This Azure WAF, Azure well architected framework, is support at different stages of your cloud journey from initial design to ongoing operation. Look at this one table. When you are designing a new cloud native solution, use these five pillars as a blueprint to design a new application like modern e-commerce platform or a AI service right from the start. So this will help us to prevent architectural debt and ensure the design meets non-functional requirement. So when we are designing a new cloud solution, we should use these all five pillars to design a new application. So before doing on-prem to cloud migration, you should run the cloud migration assessment. You should run the cloud migration assessment. Evaluating an existing on-premises application before or during a migration to Azure, like lift and shift or re-platform scenario, the WAF identify necessary improvement to make the workload cloud ready. So the primary pillars addressed in this cloud migration assessment is reliability, cost optimization. If you look at the workload optimization post migration, we have to review an existing application already running on the Azure to identify and address the architectural gaps. This is often triggered by a rising cost, performance issue, and security incident. So we have to run the optimization. The primary pillars we need to address in this stage is cost optimization, performance efficiency, and the fourth is compliance and security audit. Our cloud solution should be compliant and it is ready for security audit. Providing a formal structural approach to validate that the cloud environment adhere to the internal security standard and the external regulatory compliance. So in this stage, in the compliance and security audits, we need to address the security operational excellency pillars. Finally, the continuous improvement, that is FinOps. Embedding the WAF well architected framework principle, especially the cost optimization and operational excellency, it is a DevOps cycle to establish a culture of continuous monitoring and improvement. So for the primary pillars that to be addressed here is operational excellency and cost optimization. Let us take another example. So you need to secure a global logistic platform. A common and highly illustrative real world example involves a large global organization such as logistic company that has a rapidly adopting Azure but now faces mounting security and operational risk. If you look at the scenario, the global logistic company uses Azure for its critical track and trace platform, which handles sensitive customer data, cargo information, and real time operational data. The platform was deployed quickly, lift and shift, but lacks consistent security controls and automated operations. So, if you look at the way of application and outcome, let us take the security pillar. The problem identified is fragmented threat detection, overlay permissive network access, and weak access control. That means no MFA. These are all the problem identified. So, what are the web solution or best practice? You can go for centralized monitoring with the SIM tool, Assume Sentinel, Microsoft Sentinel. You can implement the zero trust framework like implementing MFA policies, condition access policy, least privilege or back roads, and the network segmentation by using the Azure firewall and NRGS. Here, the key result is there should be a 40% reduction in incident resolution time and consistent compliance with the regulatory needs. If you look at the second pillar, operational excellency, the problem identified is a manual security configuration and a deployment process led to human error and inconsistent environment. So, what are the web solution or best practices? That is security automation and DevOps integration, embedding the security checks into CI/CD pipeline. We can implement Azure policy for the continuous compliance. The key result will be reduced production security defects, establish a scalable foundation for security that grow with the business. If you look at the WAF pillar, cost optimization, the problem identified is over provisioned virtual machine and underutilized licenses. The WAF solution and best practices, right sizing resources via Azure Advisor recommendation, utilizing the Azure hybrid benefit for OS licenses. The key result are significant reduction in monthly compute and license cost for the platform. The fourth is performance efficiency. The problem identified database bottlenecks during the peak cargo processing times. If you look at the web solution or best practices, we have to implement the Azure SQL database, Elastic Pools, and Azure Front Row with the caching for global traffic distribution. If you look at the key result, it will lead to increased platform responsiveness and reliability during the peak operational hours. The final pillar, reliability. A single reason deployment with no defined disaster recovery plan is the problem identified. So, what is the web solution or best practices? Implement the cross region redundancy using Azure Site Recovery or geo redundant storage for the critical database tier. So, key result will be defined and tested recovery time objective and recovery point objective targets ensuring business continuity. So, this Azure well architecture framework provide a strategic guidance to transform a reactive fragmented cloud environment into proactive, secure and cost efficient foundation. So, as a solution architect, we should review our cloud design with this core five pillars: reliability, security, cost optimization, performance excellency, and then operational excellency. So we should always note it down the these core pillars: security, reliability, cost optimization, performance resiliency, and then operational excellency. Thank you, friends. We will connect in next class.